Zhou Fight clicked his tongue. This guy was quite good at pretending. If you still don't speak, I'll bring you to the Supreme Will. I also want to see what you are. After Zhou Marshall finished speaking, a few seconds later, a faint sigh came from the chaotic light spot. After Zhou Marshall finished speaking, a few seconds later, a faint sigh arrived from the chaotic light spot. With such a huge karma, you won't harm me, right? His Majesty is right, Zhou Marshall said indifferently. But are you really this divine being of the chaos will now? I don't believe that Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord couldn't completely kill you back then. You saw through me. The chaotic light spot sighed and said, this divine being has indeed completely perished in the hands of the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord, the two daughters I love the most. The current me is just a flesh and blood will derive from remnant flesh and blood. Then can I beg you to let me off? I might be a flesh and blood will left behind by the chaos will, but I've never appeared again all these years to disturb the Supreme Will and the rule of the Crimson Overlord. I've only been relying on this chaotic divine demon's body to survive in the fiend celestial world. If it weren't for the few chaotic divine demons under you bringing too many chaotic divine demons and letting you take any chaotic divine treasure, I wouldn't have taken the initiative to come out of the divine demon realm to see you. I had to expose myself to you. The chaotic light spot said helplessly. He just wanted to live well. Why was it so difficult? I can't make that decision. You can ask the Supreme Will. Zhou Marshall said calmly. The Chaos Will was related to the Supreme Will and the private matters of the Crimson Overlord back then. Zhou Zhou was not stupid. How could he take the initiative to involve himself in something that was not his business? When the Chaos Will heard Zhou Marshall's words, panic immediately appeared on its face. Don't tell the Supreme Will. Please don't tell the Supreme Will. He pleaded. Why are you so afraid of the Supreme Will? Zhou Marshall asked curiously. Could you be still hiding a secret I don't know? It's not like that. The Chaos Will said in fear. Amma will derive from the incomplete flesh and blood of the Chaos Will. I have personally experienced the battle between the three will transcendent level experts back then. It's no exaggeration to say that the battle back then was definitely considered a peak battle even in the ultimate void cosmos. The Chaos Will died an extremely tragic death. My divine body would still tremble subconsciously when I think of the battle back then. If I see the Supreme Will now, I'm afraid I'll be scared to death. Zhou Marshall. This was actually AF * King Cowardly Will. You're so timid. How did you derive a will from the incomplete flesh of the Chaos Will? Zhou Zhou was speechless. I don't know either. It was condensed very suddenly. The Chaos Will said. Zhou Marshall shook his head and did not want to ask further. Don't worry. This era is no longer the same as your era back then. Zhou Marshall comforted. After so many years, the Supreme Will probably doesn't care about what happened back then anymore. And think about it. If the Supreme Will really wanted to attack you, would you be able to survive until today? You don't really think that the small divine demon realm you created can withstand the detection and attack of the Supreme Will, right? Zhou Marshall asked the other party in return. The Chaos Will immediately fell silent. It seemed like it did make sense. Back then, the Supreme Will could even beat the Chaos Will to death. His will was derived from the flesh and blood left behind by the Chaos Will. The strongest was only at the low-level Supreme Will realm. How could the demon god world created by it avoid the detection and attack of the Supreme Will? Which meant the Supreme Will might have known the location of him and his divine demon realm a long time ago, but it had just been too lazy to attack him. After figuring this out, the Chaos Will suddenly relaxed. Then I'll invite the Supreme Will over? Zhou Marshall asked when he saw how it relented like this. Please, the Chaos Will said after a few seconds of silence. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he thought of the void and said respectfully, I'm the 3rd Reserve Army of the Supreme Lord. Please descend, Lord Supreme Will. I have something important to report to the Supreme Will. The chaotic light spot looked around nervously. He secretly gritted his teeth. He resisted the urge to escape after hesitating several times. At this moment, a voice sounded in the space where Zhou Marshall and the others were. Common people's regal, deal with it yourself. The Supreme Will said calmly. Then, there was no more sound, leaving behind the stunned Zhou Zhou and the others. Zhou Marshall couldn't help but laugh as he looked at the chaotic light spot in front of him. It seems like the Supreme Will doesn't care about you at all. He doesn't even want to show himself. The Chaos Will heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. It's good that he don't care about me. I like it when the Supreme Will doesn't take a small fry like me seriously. Zhou Marshall was speechless. This fellow was actually not ashamed but proud. However, this was indeed in line with the other party's way of survival. What do you think I should do with you? Zhou Marshall suddenly asked. The chaotic light spot immediately became nervous. He took a deep breath and said to Zhou Wu, as long as you don't destroy me, I'm willing to accept any punishment. Your desire to live is quite strong. I will. Zhou Marshall deliberately dragged out his tone, making the chaotic light spot even more nervous. He smiled and said, forget it. I won't scare you anymore. You just have to join this emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom and become a general under this emperor. You just have to do your best to conquer the myriad worlds and even the ultimate void great cosmos for this emperor. That's simple. The chaotic light spot asked in disbelief. What else could it be? Zhou Marshall said indifferently. But this emperor is not afraid to tell you that once you join this emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom, you will never betray this emperor again. You can only serve this emperor wholeheartedly. The chaotic light spot quickly understood. This common people's regal's blazing sun divine kingdom probably had some special method to make the living beings who joined the blazing sun divine kingdom never betray him. It was even to the extent that such a method could restrain a true supreme realm expert like him. After the chaotic light spot understood this, it was both afraid and envious. With such methods, it seemed like this common people's regal was not only powerful, he also had a group of loyal subordinates. Are you willing? Zhou Marshall asked. After a long silence, the chaotic light spot said firmly, I am willing. Compared to freedom, I still think life is more precious. Don't be so pessimistic. Zhou Marshall smiled and said, even though you will be absolutely loyal to me after you join my blazing sun divine kingdom, that doesn't mean I'm going to restrict your freedom. You don't even need to come to the army under this emperor to accumulate strength. After joining this emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom, you can do whatever you want. As long as you don't do anything outrageous, this emperor will definitely not care about you. After thinking for a few seconds, the chaotic light spot smiled and said, I understand. Your Majesty doesn't want me as a subordinate. You just want me to eliminate a possible enemy. Clever. Zhou Marshall smiled. I understand. The chaotic light spot said. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt that he had mysteriously joined a country. At the same time, he also felt many buffs on him. Some of the buffs surprised even him, who had all the memories of the chaos will. What's going on with this blazing sun divine kingdom? Joining it alone actually benefits me so much. The remnants of the chaos was completely shocked. With so many benefits and with all the memories and insights of the chaos will, he was even confident that he could recover his strength at the transcendent level of will in a short period of time. At the thought of this, he immediately felt grateful to Zhou Marshall. At the side, the chaotic divine demon Di Huang was dumbfounded. How did things develop in this way? He had only seen the chaotic divine demons in the divine demon realm suddenly become weak. He did not know what had happened. In order to investigate this matter, he had specially followed the space-time chaotic divine demon. Only then did he unexpectedly found out that they were related to the famous common people's regal in the outside world. What made him unable to hold it in even more was that the common people's regal wanted the life source of these chaotic divine demons, chaotic divine treasures, and these chaotic divine demons under him were actually willing to really hand over their life source for that bit of master god-tier divine artifact. In the beginning, the chaotic divine demon Di Huang did not understand why the chaotic divine demon Di Huang under him would forcefully complete a deal with the common people's regal even if it had to endure the 2D buffs of weakness and decreased strength. However, after understanding the price that Zhou Zhou indicated, he expressed that he even wanted to exchange for it. It was just a chaos divine treasure that could be condensed repeatedly, but it could actually be exchanged for 4 master god-tier divine artifacts of the same level. Did he have so many master god-tier divine artifacts that he had nowhere to use? How did he think of such a ridiculous deal? Therefore, in order to understand the reason behind this, the chaotic divine demon Di Huang decided to boldly take the initiative to come out and meet this legendary common people's regal. At first, it was fine, but when Zhou Marshall pulled out the chaotic light spot from his body, everything changed. What? That light spot was actually the remnant flesh and blood will of the chaos will back then? What? The remaining flesh and blood will of the chaos was actually not a match for the common people's regal. It even begged for mercy from the common people's regal. Furthermore, not only did the common people's regal not accept the other party's begging, he even wanted to call the Supreme Will over. What? The Supreme Will was too lazy to appear and decided to let the common people's regal, Zhou Marshal, deal with it. What? The remnant will of chaos surrendered? And he looked so grateful? After this series of events, the chaotic divine demon Di Huang did not know how to react. At this moment, Zhou Marshal's gaze landed on him. He subconsciously didn't dare to meet his gaze and involuntarily lowered his head. What about him? This chaotic divine demon Di Huang is a good seedling with the potential to transcend experts. The chaotic light spot said, I can guide him on behalf of your majesty. With my guidance and the enhancement of your majesty's lord talent and other buffs, the other party has at least an 80% chance of advancing to the willpower level in the future. Zhou Marshal nodded. He had excellent taste. He could also tell at a glance that the other party had the potential of having willpower. If they nurtured him well in the future, they might be able to nurture him into a general under him. When the chaotic light spot saw this, it immediately knew that its majesty wanted to recruit him. It took the initiative to say, Your Majesty, let me talk about this. Let me persuade him. Even though he is arrogant, he will quickly agree. Zhou Marshal smiled and inadvertently touched the low-level will that transcended the holy sword at his waist. It's fine. This emperor will send him on his way if he didn't know better. The chaotic light spot was speechless. What could he say? He could only pretend not to hear and immediately go persuade Realm Essence. A moment later, Realm Essence, who had a nervous and expectant expression, walked over behind the chaotic light spot. Your Majesty, I'm willing to lead the entire divine demon realm to join you. Chaotic divine demon Di Huang said respectfully, Welcome to the blazing sun divine kingdom. This emperor will not mistreat any of your chaotic divine demons. Zhou Marshal did not make things difficult for him and agreed with a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, the chaotic divine demon Di Huang and all the chaotic divine demons in the divine demon realm also felt the feeling of the chaotic colored light spot. They revealed a look of disbelief before the shock turned into surprise. I finally understand why there are so many top experts in the myriad worlds who yearn to join the blazing sun divine kingdom, even if they have to be a subject. The feeling of joining is really good. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang said in surprise, Thank you, Your Majesty, for allowing us to join the blazing sun divine kingdom. After he returned to his senses, the first person he thanked was Zhou Marshal. Then, he bowed respectfully to the chaos-colored light spot and said, Thank you, Lord Chaos Will, for guiding me to join the blazing sun divine kingdom. Sure. The Chaos Will smiled. He was very optimistic about the future of the chaotic divine demon Di Huang. He might advance to the willpower level in the future after all. If he could really advance, he could also recover his willpower and strength. When the time came, they would definitely be able to occupy a place among the experts of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Even though they were new, the performance of the strong alliance alone was enough to make the experts of the blazing sun divine kingdom not dare to underestimate them. Even though the Chaos Will was only a will derived from flesh and blood, he had many thoughts. He no longer considered the advantages and disadvantages of joining the blazing sun divine kingdom. He began to consider how to survive better among the experts of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Zhou Marshal could tell what the Chaos Will was thinking at a glance, but he didn't care. As long as they didn't betray him and didn't affect the blazing sun divine kingdom, their own growth, and didn't do anything that violated their bottom line, it didn't matter if they played any tricks in private. It could be used to train his subordinates' workplace survivability. This emperor still needs a large number of chaos divine treasures in the future. What do you suggest? Zhou Marshal asked the chaotic divine demon Di Huang. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang thought for a few seconds and said respectfully, Your Majesty, since the entire divine demon realm is now ruled by you, you can completely stop using the method of killing the goose that lays the golden eggs to obtain the chaos divine treasure. I have a better way. Tell me about it. Zhou Marshal's interest was piqued. He did feel a little strange about how he had obtained the chaotic divine treasure by killing chaotic divine demons in the past. Back then, they were not subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom. So even though Zhou Marshal felt that it was strange, he had never thought of changing it. Now that these chaotic divine demons had become his subjects, he could not use the same method to obtain chaotic divine treasures in the future. They killed the subjects in their territory to obtain what the monarch wanted after all. Those who did not know the exact situation would think that they were tyrants. Those who knew the exact situation would probably not have a good initial impression of him. Zhou Marshall still wanted to use another method to collect chaos divine treasures while protecting his reputation. As a well-known lord in the myriad worlds, reputation was very important. Zhou Marshall felt that he had to do it even if this method would reduce the income of the chaos divine treasure in the future in order to protect his reputation. Your Majesty, I created a chaos secret technique throughout these years in order to increase my strength. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang said, this chaotic mystic technique can unite 10,000 chaotic divine demons to condense the chaotic origin energy for me. My cultivation speed will greatly increase with their help. I can also use this method to create a large amount of chaotic origin energy. Under the control of another secret technique, I can perfectly condense and compress this chaotic origin energy into a chaotic divine treasure. These chaos divine treasures are no different from ordinary chaos divine treasures. At that time, these chaos divine treasures can satisfy a portion of His Majesty's needs. How many chaos divine treasures can these chaotic origin energy you mentioned condense? Zhou Marshall asked. 10,000 of them. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang said respectfully. Zhou Marshall nodded in surprise. This number was already equivalent to the chaotic divine treasures he obtained from killing so many chaotic divine demons every day. Now that he had the mystic technique of the chaotic divine demon Di Huang, even if he did not kill the chaotic divine demons in the future, he would be able to obtain similar chaotic divine treasures. He would also be able to protect his chaotic divine demon subjects. The chaos secret technique you created is not bad. Zhou Marshall smiled and praised. In the future, use this chaos mystic technique to provide this emperor with the chaos divine treasure he needs. Don't worry, this emperor won't treat you badly. This emperor will send someone to send you all the resources you need to increase your cultivation. Also, your divine demon realm can be disbanded. Let's return to the supreme great cosmos to rest. Comprehending laws in a small world is ultimately not as convenient as comprehending laws in the great cosmos. Yes, Your Majesty, I will disband the divine demon realm in a while and let all the chaotic divine demons return to your command. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang's eyes lit up as he immediately said, it was indeed not convenient to comprehend the laws in the demon god realm. The laws of the small world were not as perfect and high-end as the laws of the supreme great cosmos after all. Over the years, the divine demon realm had delayed the growth of many chaotic divine demon geniuses. If he wasn't worried that he would be dealt with by the supreme will and the crimson overlord the moment he came out of the divine demon realm, he would have long left that divine demon realm with all the chaotic divine demons. When the chaos will heard this, it sighed inwardly. This common people's regal had just become the master of their chaotic divine demons, but he had already provided such great help to their survival. He had even changed their previous survival methods. Should he say that he was indeed worthy of being the successor that even the Supreme will valued? As expected, he had extraordinary courage. By the way, how many chaotic divine demons are left? Zhou Marshall asked when he thought of this. Reporting to Your Majesty, we are currently still 13,672 chaotic divine demons strong. Among them, there are 13,611 master god tier chaotic divine demons, 61 supreme god chaotic divine demons, and I'm the only supreme will realm chaotic divine demon. Zhou Marshall nodded. Not bad. There were actually 61 supreme god chaotic divine demons, as expected of the foundation left behind by the chaos will. Even though the other party had already died for so long, the faction he left behind was still powerful. Master God tier, stay behind. Set up in a chaotic divine demon's territory in the chaos, see that this emperor left for you. That will be your race's territory in the future. As for the supreme gods and you, join the main combat army under this emperor and fight with this emperor in the ultimate void great cosmos. Zhou Marshall said, Yes, Your Majesty. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang agreed without hesitation. Zhou Marshall nodded. Then, They made another trip to the ruins of the Chaos of Death and obtained another 170 units of Chaos Divine Treasures. Only then did they return to the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and join the main army to conquer the myriad worlds. Now that the Supreme Mainland had been completely occupied by Zhou Zhou, their next goal was to conquer the entire Supreme Great Cosmos. This process was very simple. This was because the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom faction that Zhou Zhou was in was undoubtedly the third faction in the heavens, in the entire Supreme Great Cosmos. Excluding the Supreme Will, the only top factions ranked in front of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom were the Sun Divine Court and the Great Lunar Court. These two factions were high and mighty. They had almost never launched a war against the entire Supreme Great Cosmos. The God King Heaven Punishment and the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord had long lost their status as lords and were not qualified to conquer the Supreme Great Cosmos. It was because of all these reasons that Zhou Zhou became the first Lord faction in the history of the Supreme Great Cosmos to have the qualifications to conquer the entire Supreme Great Cosmos without any faction daring to question it. Who asked him to be a Supreme Lord Reserve Army? To put it bluntly, the entire Supreme Great Cosmos belonged to him. Now that the common people's regal had conquered the entire Supreme Great Cosmos from the beginning, it was just a test given to the common people's regal by the Supreme Will. If the Supreme Will chose not to test the common people's regal, he could even order the entire Supreme Great Cosmos to submit to the common people's regal. It was also for these reasons that after Zhou Marshal and them led the Blazing Sun Army and the other main combat troops on the journey to conquer the entire Supreme Great Cosmos, countless surrender letters flew towards the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom like raindrops. The Master of the Boundless Universe surrenders to us unconditionally. The Myriad Demon Divine Kingdom surrenders to us unconditionally. The Singer Divine Kingdom surrenders to us unconditionally. The Dark Moon Boundless Universe surrenders to us unconditionally. The Mechanical Low-Dimensional World surrenders to us unconditionally. Your Majesty, Feng Luo said to Zhou Marshal speechlessly, all the pre-attack forces along our route today have already surrendered to us. What about the second advance offensive route? Zhou Marshal frowned. Yes, surrendering. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Your Majesty. All the Lord factions on the second advance offensive route have already surrendered to us. What about the third advance offensive route? There's no movement from the factions on this offensive route for the time being. All right, then attack all the pre-attack forces along the way. Yes, Your Majesty. Feng Luo accepted the order and immediately led the Blazing Sun Army and the other main combat troops to move to the third offensive route. However, in less than half an hour, reporting to Your Majesty, all the pre-attack forces on the third pre-attack route have sensed the change in our offensive route and are suspected to have discovered that our target has become them. All the pre-attack forces on this pre-attack route are rapidly surrendering to us too. They are all willing to give up the throne and join our Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. A leader of a high-level Divine Kingdom faction even specially told me they have been waiting to surrender for a long time. Zhou Marshal. Zhou Marshal was almost unable to subdue the faction that surrendered. There was no choice. There were too many. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the entire Supreme Great Cosmos completely returned to the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. On the other side, in the palace of the divine capital of the Succubus Divine Kingdom of the Crimson Great Cosmos, Zhou 15 was dealing with government affairs. His current work was mainly to help the Divine Kingdom Lord faction under him establish the beginner-grade Master God-tier Lord faction. As the Chaos Divine Treasure gradually became richer, he could already create a large number of novice-grade Lord Deity-level kingdoms at the same time. Furthermore, because they had enough talents and god spirits, they established a novice-grade Master God-tier kingdom very quickly and took a very short time. Just like today, Zhou 15 planned to establish a total of 10 beginner-grade Master God-tier kingdoms in the Scarlet Great Cosmos. In the future, when they established more beginner-grade Master God-tier kingdoms, they would choose a portion of beginner-grade Master God-tier kingdoms and use them as the predetermined goal to advance to an intermediate Master God-tier kingdom in the future, preparing for the advancement conditions of a higher-level territory in the future. At this moment, he flipped to a memorial. He opened it and quickly revealed a look of joy. Today, there are actually 6 high-level Lord factions of the Crimson Great Cosmos that have advanced to the beginner grade Master God tier kingdom. Okay. Man, he shouted. A Master God tier level succubus Master God tier, wearing a Master God artifact, walked over and said respectfully and charmingly, "Greetings, Your Majesty. Gather the Emperor's succubus divine kingdom army to conquer these 6 newly advanced beginner grade Master God tier Lord factions." Zhou 15 threw the memorial in front of the other party and said coldly, "You must conquer all the Lord factions of these 6 beginner grade Master God tier kingdoms by today." "Yes, Your Majesty," the succubus Master God tier said respectfully with no fear on her face. With the help of Zhou 15's resources, all the god spirits in the succubus divine kingdom were equipped with a complete set of divine artifacts, true god tier divine artifacts, master god tier divine artifacts, and supreme divine artifacts without exception. The current succubus divine kingdom was more than 10,000 times stronger than before. It was just 6 newly advanced beginner-grade master god tier lord factions. As long as they did not mobilize supreme will realm experts, it was easy for them to deal with them. Even if the other party suddenly took out a supreme will realm expert to stop the invasion of the succubus divine kingdom, Zhou 15 was not afraid. If they dared to invite external help, he would also dare to invite them. Wasn't he just a supreme will realm expert? It was as if they did not have any. As for the gods of the succubus divine kingdom, they were naturally puzzled as to why their succubus god lord could suddenly take out so many divine artifacts. If this was in the supreme great cosmos, there might be curious gods who wanted to find out the secrets inside. However, in the crimson great cosmos, there was such a benefit. The god spirits of the crimson great cosmos believed in the rule of survival, where the strong were respected. As long as you were strong enough, they would definitely listen to you and won't cause you any trouble. Therefore, after Zhou 15 accidentally displayed his strength to instantly kill a grade 4 supreme god, the succubus divine kingdom no longer had any officials who dared to be sarcastic to him. They would do whatever Zhou 15 said to make Zhou 15 feel comfortable. As for why their majesty was so strong, that's naturally because our emperor was born to be so strong. The first time Zhou 15 heard such words, he laughed. What was the old saying again? Right. There will be great scholars to argue in my favor when I become stronger. Then, he didn't say anything else and turned to leave. Zhou 11 and Zhou Shire were leading their supreme gods and supreme will realm experts to explore the deepest depths of Tianjun's corpse. Along the way, they killed many chaos fiends and obtained more than 50,000 units of chaos divine treasures. Furthermore, they had used force to subdue 5 supreme will realm experts. Just as they approached the core area of Tianjun's corpse, a person of foreign race who was holding a white holy flower in his hand and wearing a white robe walked over from afar. In the team, many supreme gods and supreme will realm experts revealed looks of fear after sensing the pressure of this existence. This was because it was the pressure of a willpower expert. He glanced at Zhou 11 and the rest and smiled slightly, charming all living beings. The holy flower in his hand swayed slightly, emitting an aura that made even god spirits and willpower level powerhouses infatuated. The supreme gods and supreme will realm experts under Zhou 11 could not resist the other party's methods and were all confused. In a place that they could not detect, the will origin nucleus in their brains were constantly releasing the power of the origin of will. It surged into the other party's body and the holy flower in their hands through the aura they emitted. Zhou 11 and Zhou 11 frowned slightly, as they felt extremely wary and hostile. This fellow actually used his means on them, without a word the moment they met. At this rate, in less than a quarter of an hour, the supreme gods and supreme will realm experts under him would be sucked dry of their willpower by the aura emitted by the holy flower in the other party's hand and die. He did not dare to underestimate the other party. Zhou 12 and him immediately used King and instantly increased their strength to the low-level willpower. Oh, surprise appeared in the woman's eyes. With a flash, she arrived in front of Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 with the holy flower in her hand and sized him up. What are you two doing? You couple low-level supreme will realm experts actually suddenly have the strength of a low-level will realm expert. Then how will this method be used if it's used by a willpower expert? Will one have the strength of an eternal realm expert? Is this the inheritance of a willpower expert, or an eternal realm expert? Tell me and hand this method to me. I can spare your lives. Don't think that you can survive under my hands just because you have the strength of a low-level willpower. I'm a middle-level willpower expert. If I want to kill the two of you, I can do it with a thought. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 looked at each other. Then, Zhou 11 said, "This is my self-created willpower skill. As for whether it can allow your willpower experts to use this willpower skill to have the strength of the eternal immortal realm, I'm not too sure. I didn't raise this will skill to the level of will transcendence." I see. The people of foreign races at the supreme will realm smiled. If not for Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 having the willpower of a supreme will realm expert with 100,000 units, they might really not have been able to hold on. The supreme will realm expert of the people of foreign races continued to smile. Looks like even though you're only at the low-level supreme will realm. But looking at the potential of this willpower skill, it's very likely that you will advance to the willpower level in the future and become existences like me. Come, tell me your willpower technique, cultivation method, and cultivation comprehension. I'll help you correct it. That won't be necessary. Zhou 11 smiled and said, "Cultivation comprehension concerns one's future path. It's really inconvenient to reveal it." Oh. The smile of the woman from the people of foreign races became even more charming. "Little brother, are you really going to reject my request? Something bad is going to happen. Then we'll have to experience it." Zhou 11 said, "We only killed a low-level willpower expert not long ago and obtained a lot of loots. I'm about to teach a middle-level willpower user. How strong is he?" The gaze of the woman from the people of foreign races froze. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and exhaled. A rich floral fragrance spewed out of his mouth and landed on Zhou 11 and Zhou 12's faces. Even though Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 had nearly 200,000 supreme will realm experts' willpower augmenting them, he still felt a little dizzy in the face of the sudden attack of this middle-level, transcendent-level expert. They could only subconsciously put on low-level holy artifacts. In the next moment, a jade-green spike appeared out of thin air in the hand of this woman of foreign races. This jade-green spike exuded a pressure that surpassed that of a holy artifact. It was shockingly a middle-level holy artifact. He held the spike and shook it slightly. He actually grew 2 arms, and both arms held a mid-level beyond holy artifact spike. Then, he stabbed Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 in the forehead without hesitation. He held the spike and shook it slightly. He actually grew 2 arms, and both arms held a mid-level beyond holy artifact spike. Then, he stabbed Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 in the forehead without hesitation. At this moment, the ruthlessness he displayed was completely different from his smiling performance just now. Even though he was a middle-level willpower expert, his strength on the surface far exceeded that of Zhou 11 and Zhou Shire, who were low-level willpower experts. However, he treated Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 with all his might to kill the two of them. When his emerald green spike landed on Zhou 11 and Zhou 12's glabella, an invisible membrane quietly appeared, isolating them from the emerald green spike's attack. Transcend holy artifacts. This person from the people of foreign races could not hide his surprise. Transcendent holy artifact. Even he only had one holy artifact of this level. It could be seen how rare holy artifacts were. As for these two guys, their true strength was clearly only at the low-level supreme will realm. Putting aside how the two of them could control a holy artifact, how could the two of them possess a holy artifact at this stage? This short moment of shock and hesitation allowed him to give Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 a chance to catch their breath. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 immediately came back to their senses. Then, the two of them immediately distanced themselves and looked at him warily. He had been too careless. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 thought. They had almost died in this fellow's hands before they even fought. An expert who could reach the mid-level willpower realm was indeed not simple. Then, they silently placed a low-level transcendent holy artifact around their origin core that could protect it. At this moment, the woman from the people of foreign race had already recovered from her shock, and her gaze landed on them again. Transcend holy artifacts. You actually have transcendent holy artifacts. 2 of them, he whispered. Ever since he saw Zhou 11 and Zhou Shire, it was the first time he looked so shocked. Do you like it? Zhou 11 took a step forward and faced the other party. He smiled and said, "If you're willing to become this emperor's subordinate, This emperor can also give you a set of holy artifacts that can allow you, even if you're a middle-level willpower surpassing expert, to have the ability to protect yourself or even fight against an upper-level willpower surpassing expert. Not to mention this woman from the people of foreign race. Even the group of supreme gods and supreme will realm experts under Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 looked at Zhou 11 dumbfounded. No, your majesty, how did you have the courage to speak to a middle-level willpower powerhouse who had the advantage in such a disadvantageous situation? And you want to recruit him as your subordinate? It's hard to say if they are willing to spare our lives now. Where do we get the right to say such things to each other? The female from the people of foreign race was also stunned when she heard this. Then, she burst out laughing. Little brother, the woman from the people of foreign race smiled and said, I have to admit that you're very talented at joking. You've successfully amused me. To reward your courage and humor, I can tell you my sage name. My sage name is Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance. Remember this name, because your life will be taken by the owner of this sage name. Swoosh. His figure instantly disappeared. In the next second, it had already appeared in front of Zhou 11. At this moment, Zhou 11 still had a faint smile on his face, as if he was not afraid of this powerful middle-level willpower powerhouse called Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance. He looked at the sacred Lord of Heavenly Fragrance who had already appeared in front of him and smiled faintly. That might not be the case. He flipped his right hand and a pink eye appeared in his hand. It was the median transcendent holy artifact, seductive holy eye. Become my slave of the holy eye, Zhou 11 said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, the seductive holy eye in his hand suddenly emitted a shocking pink light. This pink light instantly shone on the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance. The Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance's pupils constricted as an extremely strong sense of danger made him reveal a terrified expression. No. Just as he shouted no, his eyes quickly became confused. He looked like the supreme god and supreme will realm experts who had been bewitched by his holy flower. The only difference was that the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance was clearly even more confused and irreversible. Holy Artifact Willpower 2, Slave of the Holy Eye. Consume the source power of the seductive holy eye to permanently enslave a strong person at the middle level or below the middle level of will transcendence. After using this slave of the holy eye, it takes a long time for transcendental holy crystals to replenish the internal source power. When the source power is replenished, it can enslave other strong people again. The maximum number of strong people that can be enslaved by the seductive holy eye, 0/3. A moment later, the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance's expression returned to normal. He looked at Zhou 11 with respect and fanaticism. It was like a slave looking at his savior. Greetings, master, he said fervently. Zhou 11 nodded slightly. The supreme gods and supreme will realm experts present were stunned when they saw that Zhou 11 had actually subdued a mid-level transcendent level expert with just a few words, and that the other party was so loyal to Zhou 11. Then, they became fanatical. This was their majesty who could always do things that others could not. At this moment, Zhou 11 was no less excited than them. It was not only because he had subdued the first low-level willpower powerhouse, but more importantly, he had just secretly tried the king and discovered that this willpower powerhouse could also be added by his king. Then, it could also be increased by 5,000 times, which meant the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance could directly possess the strength of 5,000 mid-level, transcendent-level experts just by relying on this Heavenly Fragrance, Holy Lord. At the thought of this, Zhou 11 could not help but hold his breath. The strength of 5,000 middle-level willpower practitioners. What terrifying strength was this? It was probably comparable to the strength of an upper-level transcendent expert. He thought of another problem. With the current king, could Zhou fight directly challenge the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord? The Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord was only at the middle stage Supreme Will Realm. His true combat strength was probably at the low-level Will Transcendent Realm or the mid-level Will Transcendent Realm. As long as the other party did not have the strength of an upper-level Willpower Transcendent, he was definitely not his match. He thought for a moment and shook his head. Never mind. Why be so worried? Let Zhou fight deal with the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord himself. I'd better work on Tianjun's corpse. He looked at the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance in front of him and asked, as a mid-level willpower expert, Why did you come to this small place where Tianjun's corpse is? Reporting to your majesty. The heavenly fragrance Holy Lord said respectfully. I received news that Tianjun once obtained an eternal immortal realm martial cultivation technique when he was alive. It's called the Heaven-Breaking Fist Sect. I'm only doing this for this eternal immortal realm martial arts. Eternal immortal realm martial cultivation technique. Zhou Zhou was shocked. Yes, your majesty. The divine lord of heavenly fragrance said respectfully. No wonder. I was wondering why even the willpower experts were attracted here. As expected, there's the inheritance of an eternal realm expert. I just didn't expect it to be an eternal immortal realm martial cultivation technique. Zhou 11 was shocked. Martial arts. Actually, it was not a mainstream cultivation path in the ultimate void great cosmos. This was because its cultivation process was too difficult. There were too many shortcomings that needed to be made up for, and its methods were too simple. Even the thoughts of martial arts cultivators would be restricted by the path of martial arts. They would gradually become a little boorish and believe in the creed of strength. Of course, even though it had so many flaws, because martial arts was the purest offensive cultivation path. Once it successfully cultivated and became a peerless martial arts expert, its attack power was shockingly strong, almost surpassing all cultivation paths. Most cultivators of the same level were unwilling to provoke these boorish people because they were too lethal. They would either die or be injured the moment they attacked. On the other hand, cultivators went out to compete in this aspect. Therefore, martial arts cultivation techniques were very attractive to cultivators of any level. The higher the level, the more attractive it was. Such an eternal immortal realm martial cultivation technique was even more precious than some complete inheritances of eternal immortal realm experts. This was because once one cultivated a martial arts cultivation technique of this level, it basically meant that they were invincible. As for most cultivation techniques and immortal techniques that cultivated other paths, they might not be invincible among their peers. Zhou 11 finally understood why the treasures in Tianjun's corpse were so important. This was equivalent to a complete legacy of an eternal realm expert. Who wouldn't be tempted? Do you know how many willpower transcendent level experts are in this place where Tianjun's corpse is? Zhou 11 asked. Apart from me, there are currently 5 willpower experts at the core of Tianjun's corpse. Furthermore, I heard that there are at least 3 willpower experts who are setting off from other great cosmos to the place where Tianjun's corpse is. The divine lord of heavenly fragrance said. Are there any high-level willpower powerhouses? Zhou 11 asked again. There are 2 of them. Zhou 11 and the rest secretly clicked their tongues. Good God. A martial arts type eternal immortal realm inheritance actually attracted so many will-transcending experts. Even Zhou 11 and Zhou Shire, who had just obtained a mid-level subordinate, felt a lot of pressure after hearing that. Still, it was only pressure, not a sense of life and death. After the 2 of them used their king, even if they could not directly defeat the high-level willpower powerhouses, they could definitely protect themselves after all. Therefore, the 2 of them also wanted to take a risk for this martial arts inheritance. Let's go. The 2 of them led their subordinates deeper into the core area without hesitation. Other than me, among the other 5 willpower experts, there's a low-level willpower expert, 2 middle-level willpower experts, and the last 2 upper-level willpower experts. This heaven-breaking fist sect's martial arts inheritance is the legendary eternal immortal realm inheritance after all. Ordinary low-level experts won't dare to snatch it. Most of the people who dare to come are mid-level or even high-level willpower powerhouses. The divine lord of heavenly fragrance said, bring this emperor to find those 2 middle-level powerhouses. A dazzling light appeared in Zhou 11's eyes. This emperor wants to take down them. Hearing this, the divine lord of heavenly fragrance knew that his majesty was probably going to use the method he had just used to take down the 2 mid-level willpower powerhouses. However, not only did he not resist, he was even looking forward to it. Yes, your majesty, I know where those 2 fellows are. I'll lead the way. Zhou 11 nodded in satisfaction. The seductive holy eye was indeed a mid-level transcendent holy artifact. This control effect felt like it was equivalent to the transcendent version of the Holy King Lord Talent. When Zhou 11 saw the divine Lord of heavenly fragrance in front of him, he also realized something. As his strength gradually increased, there should be more and more willpower transcendent level experts under his main body in the future. The supreme rank, the only Lord Talent Holy King, felt a little behind. This Lord talent was limited by its grade after all. It was only effective on life forms below the Supreme Will realm. I have to get my main body to beg the Supreme Will to help my main body upgrade this Lord talent to the transcendent level, the only Lord talent. Otherwise, even if we encounter more willpower experts in the future, we won't be able to subdue them. Sigh, it's not a good thing to level up too quickly. I can't keep up with all the facilities. Zhou 11 complained in his heart. At this moment, Zhou 12 asked, then what's the background of the only low-level willpower expert who dared to come? That's an expert with a low-level will that has transcended the realm, but his true combat strength is that of a high-level will. The Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance said. It said that he once received the guidance of a top-notch willpower transcendent expert. Later on, that willpower expert advanced to the eternal realm and left the ultimate void, great cosmos. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 looked at each other. Good God, it actually had the same origin as the Supreme Will. They were all disciples of great teachers. No wonder a low-level willpower expert dared to snatch the eternal immortal realm inheritance with a group of mid-level and high-level willpower experts. The Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance was speechless when she saw Zhou 11 and Zhou 12's shocked reactions. No, were the emperors already so shocked when the low-level willpower came to snatch the inheritance? Then, Your Majesty, have you ever thought that you have the strength of the lower Supreme Will realm to snatch the eternal immortal realm inheritance from they and the willpower experts? It was like a group of lions hunting prey. Suddenly, a young leopard came over and said that not only did he want to snatch the prey they wanted to capture, but he also wanted to beat them up. Your Majesty, wake up. In terms of being ridiculous, you guys are the ones being absolutely ridiculous. A moment later, under the lead of the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance, Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 found the first mid-level willpower expert. This mid-level expert was sitting cross-legged in an ancient cave abode. He used the power of his will to observe the core area of the entire place where Tianjun's corpse was, wanting to use this to find the inheritance of the heaven-breaking fist. This was also the first thing most willpower powerhouses wanted to do after coming here. With the strength and thickness of his willpower, they could sweep through the entire land of Tianjun's corpse to find what they wanted after all. However, the inheritance of the heaven-breaking fist sect was the martial arts inheritance of the eternal immortal realm after all. After these willpower experts who came here used this method, they could not find this inheritance. In the end, they could only walk through Tianjun's corpse step by step, like the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance or other Supreme Will realm experts searching for treasures, and try to find the heaven-breaking fist inheritance through this careful search method. Even though they had yet to find the inheritance of the heaven-shattering fist, they had used this method to find many treasures at the Supreme Will realm and the willpower realm. Many experts sighed. Even if they did not find the inheritance of the heaven-shattering fist, just based on their current gains, this trip was not in vain. Many experts sighed. Even if they did not find the inheritance of the heaven-shattering fist, just based on their current gains, this trip was not in vain. He is called the Primordial Ash and was also known as the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord by the other willpowers of the ultimate void, great cosmos. This guy's other aspects are average, but his offensive ability is ranked in the top 30 among the many mid-level experts. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 looked over. This expert from the people of foreign races was wearing the life-knocking sacred armor and holding the 1,000 Calamity Dragon spine halberd. His left arm was wrapped in broken multiverse chains, and his right hand was holding the circulating divine light of incense. His spine was the long-handled weapon box that carried the 1,000 Calamity Dragon spine halberd. The baleful aura covered the sky and earth, causing a blood cloud to appear above his head. Blood-colored lightning dragons roared and appeared from time to time. It was not the manifestation of laws, nor was it the manifestation of divine power. It was the manifestation of the will of this powerhouse. It was not the manifestation of laws, nor was it the manifestation of divine power. It was the manifestation of the will of this powerhouse. To be able to have such a will transform, he was indeed a ferocious person. It was worth it for me to subdue it with my seductive holy eye. At this moment, the primordial ash slowly opened its eyes, and its gaze landed on the divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance. Zhou 11 and the rest were ignored. It was just a group of supreme will realm and supreme gods. He did not care about them at all. If he was willing. He could kill even more Supreme Will Realm experts and Supreme God spirits with a glare. Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance, what are you doing here? He said lightly. Primordial Lightning, Divine Lord. The Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance said loudly. I was sent by my master to specially invite you to join our Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. The Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom? The Primordial Lightning Divine Lord pondered for a moment and said, Is it the common people's sacred king who has just risen and is known to have the greatest potential? Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 looked at each other. This was the first time they had heard the term sacred king from an outsider. It seemed that even though his main body had just become a sacred king, his reputation had already spread throughout the ultimate void great cosmos. That's right. The Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance smiled faintly and said, That's my master. He felt helpless. If he hadn't attacked Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 the moment he arrived, he wouldn't have been enslaved by His Majesty before knowing His Majesty's true identity. If His Majesty had told me his identity in advance, I might have surrendered directly. That was a sacred king. It was very likely that he would become the leader of the ultimate void great cosmos in the future, if he could become his subordinate. Even if the other party's strength and realm were inferior to his on the surface, he might really be willing to become the other party's subordinate. When the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord heard that the master of the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance was really the common people's sacred king with the greatest potential, a shocking lightning flashed in his eyes. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance and asked, Where is the common people's sacred king? We are the common people's sacred kings. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 stood out and said. Then, Zhou 11 thought for a moment and said, To be precise, it's the clone of the common people's sacred king. However, our consciousness is connected to our main body, and our strength is almost the same. It's not a problem for you to treat us as the common people's sacred king. The Primordial Lightning Divine Lord looked at Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 with thunderous eyes. That lightning-like willpower made Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 frown slightly. The two of you are the clones of the common people's sacred king? Your strength is not much different from the common people's sacred king. Primordial Lightning Divine Lord asked. You could say it's exactly the same, Zhou 11 said. Primordial Lightning Divine Lord frowned slightly. It was really as the legend said. On the surface, the strength of the common people's sacred king was only the strength of a newly advanced Supreme Will Realm expert. He thought for a moment and said, Your Highness Sacred King, you can subdue me, but I have two conditions. As long as Your Majesty fulfills my two conditions, I, Lei Ji, will immediately bow down to Your Majesty, the Sacred King. Oh, Zhou 11 smiled and said, What condition? Tell me. Firstly, Your Majesty should personally receive my full strength attack. As long as Your Majesty can survive one strike, the first condition will be fulfilled. Second, I've been trapped in the mid-level willpower realm for many years. After Your Majesty subjugates me, please help me break through the bottleneck and advance to the high-level willpower realm. I, Lei Ji, only have these two conditions. I wonder if Your Majesty will agree. When Zhou 11 heard that, he first sized him up and said, Can you guarantee that you will never betray me after you join me? Your Majesty, you're a sacred king. If I join you and betray you again, it's equivalent to betraying the will of the ultimate void great cosmos. Even a high-level willpower powerhouse wouldn't dare to do this. Don't worry, Your Majesty, the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord said in a low voice. All right, this Emperor agrees. Zhou 11 did not hesitate and immediately agreed. Okay, the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord praised. Your Majesty is so bold. Your Majesty is so bold. The Primordial Lightning Divine Lord praised. Not to mention whether he could withstand it. This courage alone was enough to make the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord praise him. As expected of a sacred king personally chosen by the will of the ultimate void great cosmos. This courage alone was outstanding. At the side, the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance was a little worried. The strength that His Majesty had displayed just now was only the strength of a low-level will. It was a little strenuous to face him. Could he withstand the full strength attack of the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord like this? Even though this fellow only had the strength of a mid-level willpower on the surface and looked comparable to him, in fact, because he was extremely good at offense, the full strength assault, he could unleash was comparable to a casual strike from a high-level willpower powerhouse. Your Majesty, can you really block it? At this moment, the primordial lightning divine lord also said, Your Highness, I'll attack you next. If you feel that the situation is not right, I can immediately withdraw my attack. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Even if you can't block my full-strength attack, I'm willing to join His Majesty's faction and serve His Majesty. Your spirit has conquered me. The primordial lightning divine lord also said. Even though they had just met not long ago, the courage and confidence of the common people's sacred lord had already stunned him, a mid-level powerhouse. Of course, this was not the most important reason. The most important reason was that since even the ultimate void great cosmos willpower personally admitted that the other party's potential was the #1 in the ultimate void great cosmos, the other party would definitely have a high chance of advancing to an high-level willpower expert in the future. Even if he spent a few million years, tens of millions of years, or even longer, he might not be able to advance to that level. Therefore, even though his current strength far exceeded this common people's sacred king, as long as the other party did not die in the future, he would almost certainly surpass him and become a true powerhouse standing at the peak of the ultimate void cosmos. Since that was the case, why wouldn't he join him and become his trusted subordinate? The opportunity to become the subordinate of a top powerhouse in the future was not something that everyone could easily obtain. Now that this opportunity was placed in front of him, he could not let it slip away easily. Thinking of this, he glanced at the divine lord of heavenly fragrance and felt that it was a pity. This guy was lucky enough to become the first willpower subordinate of His Majesty's. His status and identity would definitely be completely different if he could also become the first subordinate of the common people's sacred king. After Zhou 11 heard primordial lightning divine lord's words, he smiled and said, You're overly worried. Don't worry, just use your methods. This emperor can accept it. The primordial lightning divine lord's gaze froze. As a top expert, he felt proud after hearing what Zhou 11 said. It seemed like he had to use his full strength. Otherwise, if his all-out attack was really blocked by the other party, where would his pride as a peerless expert be? At that time, even if he really became His Majesty's subordinate, His Majesty would not think too highly of him. Sure, be careful, Your Highness, the primordial lightning divine lord said in a low voice. His sacred body slowly floated up and stood in the sky. The primordial lightning divine lord looked at Zhou 11 and the others below as lightning flashed in his eyes. In the next moment, the world suddenly fell silent. In the void, wisps of chaotic airflow appeared out of thin air and began to spin in reverse, forming dense chaotic clouds. The primordial lightning divine lord stepped on the chaotic clouds with his bare feet. 9 long and narrow gaps appeared in the clouds, revealing the boiling black lightning liquid behind. That was his mid-level transcendent holy artifact, primordial lightning pool. He formed a lightning seal with his left hand and pointed at the absolute beginning thunder pool with his right hand. Condense. Following this decree that crossed time and space, the absolute beginning thunder pool suddenly condensed into a needle-sized absolute beginning lightning. 1,000,000 bolts of primordial lightning, surrounded by a halo of will, pierced through the restriction on Tianjun's corpse. Every bolt of lightning emitted a pitch-black light that devoured all will. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12, who were locked on, frowned slightly and were secretly shocked. What an astonishing offensive method. It was definitely an offensive method with a superior will. Go! With a command from the primordial lightning divine lord, the 1,000,000 bolts of primordial lightning suddenly gathered together, forming a primordial lightning pillar that stole the brilliance of the world. This primordial lightning pillar even crushed a portion of the area where Tianjun's corpse was. It carried a surging holy might and vast destructive aura as it crushed towards Zhou 11. Zhou 11's expression turned solemn. He took a deep breath and instantly activated King. At this moment, the power of all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, God Spirits, Supreme Will Realm Experts, and the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance, a middle-stage Supreme Will Realm Expert, was added to Zhou 11's body and instantly increased by 5,000 times. At this moment, Zhou 11 felt a world-shaking power surge into every part of his body, making him feel as if he was omnipotent. Even the primordial lightning pillar in front of him was not worth mentioning. He felt the power of the will in his body that far exceeded that of ordinary mid-level willpower powerhouses. Endless confidence surged in his heart, and then it was calm. At this moment, he had already confirmed it. He had underestimated the combined strength of 5,000 mid-level willpower powerhouses. The current him relied on the power of 5,000 will transcenders and the power enhanced by the other kings. His realm was undoubtedly comparable to the power of a high-level will transcendent. Swoosh! A sword appeared out of thin air in his hand. This sword was called the Blood Abyss Sword. It was one of the few mid-level willpowers that Zhou Zhou had obtained that surpassed the holy artifact. It was a weapon that he could try out. He gently raised the Blood Abyss Sword and stood in front of him, blocking half of his face. Half of his face was his own, and the other half was the body of the Blood Abyss Sword. He had yet to master any willpower skills other than that of King, let alone transcendent skills. It was naturally unrealistic for King to resist this primordial lightning pillar of the primordial lightning divine lord. However, it didn't matter. He couldn't, but the Blood Abyss Sword in his hand could. He only needed to infuse the power of his will into the Blood Abyss Sword and let the Blood Abyss Sword release the power of its superior transcendent skill. Wake up, Zhou 11 said softly. Blood Abyss, show the world your ability to slaughter everything. Swoosh! A blood red eye suddenly appeared on the Blood Abyss Sword. This eye was completely blood-colored. On the surface, it looked very calm. But if one observed carefully, they would discover that in the depths of this eye, there was a crazy will that seemed to want to kill all the life forms in the ultimate void, great cosmos. Puff! A blood-colored spatial rift was split open in the void. This blood-colored spatial rift was like a wound that contained a major artery. A large amount of blood-colored seawater surged out and instantly formed a blood-colored waterfall behind him. Poo. Pu. 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 Blood-colored spatial cracks appeared out of thin air. It was as if an extremely cruel executioner was wantonly dismembering a criminal, cutting wounds on his body, and these wounds were all dripping with hot blood. Splash! Countless blood waterfalls appeared behind Zhou 11 and formed a terrifying sea of blood behind him. In the blink of an eye, figures that were innocent, resentful, in pain, or crazy struggled with all their might in this sea of blood, but they could not escape from this vast sea of blood. They could only be devoured by this sea of blood and become a dirty and bloody part of it. At this moment, the primordial lightning pillar was less than a light year away from Zhou 11. With the speed of the primordial lightning pillar, it would arrive in front of Zhou 11 in the blink of an eye and obliterate him and the members behind him. However, Zhou 11 did not panic at all. He only made one movement. He raised his sword and pointed it at the primordial lightning pillar and the shocked primordial lightning divine lord behind it. Go, he said softly. As soon as he finished speaking, ha! The entire sea of blood behind him erupted with a crazy and exaggerated smile. Then, like a group of real life forms, the sea of blood actually rushed out and swept past Zhou 11's position in the blink of an eye. It rushed in front of the primordial lightning pillar and swallowed it. The full-strength attack of the primordial lightning divine lord did not even last a breath in front of the boundless sea of blood. Just as primordial lightning divine lord was in shock, the boundless sea of blood had already arrived in front of him and was about to devour him in the next second. Your Majesty, spare my life. The primordial lightning divine lord shouted in panic. As soon as he finished speaking, the boundless sea of blood that had already swept up most of his body turned into clear water in the blink of an eye, splashing onto primordial lightning divine lord. Blood sea, vengeful spirits, angry roars. Everything disappeared, and the sky was clear. Primordial lightning divine lord looked confused. The divine lord of heavenly fragrance and her other subordinates were also very shocked. The aura of that move just now frightened them so much that they did not dare to do anything. Even the divine lord of heavenly fragrance, a mid-level willpower expert, did not dare to speak. High-level willpower combat power. He roared in his heart. He was excited. This was definitely the combat strength of a high-level willpower user. His Majesty actually had the body of a low-level supreme, will realm expert, and easily used the combat strength of high-level will. No wonder the will of the ultimate void great cosmos thought that the common people's regal had the greatest potential in the ultimate void, great cosmos. Who could have the greatest potential if he did not have the greatest potential? No existence could. Then, he thought of something and hurriedly said to the still stunned primordial lightning divine lord, "What are you waiting for? Come and greet your king." The primordial lightning divine lord finally came back to his senses. He took a deep breath and cupped his fists at the divine lord of heavenly fragrance. Then, he quickly flew in front of Zhou 11 and knelt down respectfully. "Primordial lightning divine lord greets your majesty. Welcome to this emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom. You're the same as the divine lord of heavenly fragrance. You're both high officials of this emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom. Every 100 years, you can choose any transcendent level treasure from this emperor's treasure vault. Every 10,000 years, you can choose any transcendent holy artifact from this emperor's treasure vault. If you make a contribution, the reward will be considered separately." Zhou 11 said with a faint smile. "Your Majesty, are you serious?" The two transcendent experts exclaimed. Transcendent level treasures and transcendent holy artifacts were all extremely precious treasures. They were no exception even in the ultimate void cosmos. Furthermore, the price of obtaining them was only the duration of their effectiveness, 100 or 10,000 years. Wasn't this something that happened in the blink of an eye for them and other experts with transcendent wills? What price was this? This was clearly a free gift. Needless to say, meritorious service was another matter. An idea appeared in their minds. The emperor that they are following is too domineering. The second thought was, "I followed the right person." The divine lord of heavenly fragrance and the primordial lightning divine lord looked at each other and said respectfully, "We pledge our lives to serve your majesty." Zhou 11 smiled and nodded. He was also very satisfied. It meant that after he used the king, with the addition of a new subordinate of a mid-level transcendent level powerhouse, he could instantly obtain the full strength of 10,000 middle-level transcendent level powerhouses. If the augmentation of the previous 5,000 mid-level willpower beyonder powers only allowed him to touch the edge of the strength of high-level willpower, WTH the support of the full strength of these 10,000 willpower transcendent level powerhouses, he could truly step into the range of the strength of a high-level willpower powerhouse, which meant he was now at true high-level willpower with transcendent combat power. He could challenge his second brother, the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord, without any worries in the next week's battle. Zhou 11 thought. He already had a premonition. With his current strength, challenging the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord could only be described with two words. Easy peasy. He was so confident even though they had never really fought. This was how strong people were. They had absolute knowledge and confidence in their strength. If he could win, he would definitely not hesitate, not knowing if he could win. Then, Zhou 11 did not think too much about it. Primordial Lightning Divine Lord. Do you know how many willpower transcendent experts there are nearby that we can find? Zhou 11 asked directly. The Primordial Lightning Divine Lord knew what His Majesty was going to do. This was to collect all the willpower transcendent level experts in Tianjun's corpse as subordinates. He was delighted. If it was before he joined the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, he would probably reject such a thing without hesitation. Being a guide was somewhat offensive for experts like them. In fact, apart from strength, experts also valued reputation. However, after joining the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord naturally had to look at this matter from the perspective of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Then, he naturally hoped that the more transcendent level experts under the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom, the better. The stronger the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom was, the more it would prove that there was nothing wrong with joining. The brighter his future would be after all. Your Majesty, I know the location of all the willpower transcendent level experts in the land of Tianjun's corpse. The Primordial Lightning Divine Lord chuckled. Sure. Zhou 11 nodded in satisfaction. With the Divine Lord of Heavenly Fragrance and the Primordial Lightning Divine Lord leading the way, it seemed like he was destined to gain a lot today. The Eternal Continent. Zhou Fight was leading the army of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom to conquer this mainland. They had a much bigger appetite due to the addition of many Supreme Will Realm experts, Supreme Gods, Master God Tiers, and other God Spirits under their command. They decided that they were going to take down half of the Eternal Continent and the River of Space and Time. This way, the remaining area of battle between the Eternal Continent and the space-time river sacred domain was about 2/5. After fighting for about 2 hours, Zhou Fight suddenly trembled. Then, he came back to his senses and a smile appeared on his face. Zhou 11 and Zhou 12 actually gave me such a big surprise. If that's the case, then we can change our goal today. Zhou Fight thought to himself. Then, he called Bai Yun over. Greetings, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, do you have a new decree? Bai Yun asked curiously when she arrived. Bai Yun, from now on, there's no need to have any scruples. Fight the eternal continent and the river of space and time with all your might. Zhou Fight said in a low voice. If you encounter a willpower transcendent level expert, don't worry. This emperor will personally attack. We will strive to conquer the eternal continent and the river of time and space within 2 days. Then, we will defeat the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord and let this emperor become the second reserve for the Supreme Lord. Yes, Your Majesty. Bai Yun's eyes lit up, and she immediately accepted the order. He had long felt that with His Majesty's strength and faction, there was no need to be so timid when fighting in the eternal continent and the long river of time and space. Now, His Majesty's order was exactly what he wanted. Seeing that Bai Yun agreed so readily, Zhou Fight nodded slightly. Previously, he did not let the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom fight freely in the eternal continent and the river of time and space because he was afraid of alarming the 3 historical heroes with transcendent wills on the eternal continent. Now, with the augmentation of the king, his strength had already steadily transcended the high-level will. With such strength, Zhou Fight naturally did not have to be as timid as before. He could even take the initiative to participate in the battle and lure the 3 historical heroes with transcendent wills over. Then, they would be destroyed in one go. In this way, there was nothing to worry about before they took the initiative to look for the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord. The more Zhou Fight thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was good. And so, when they were fighting in a place called the Dark Wilderness, Zhou Fight directly attacked and used lightning-like methods to eliminate the 5 historical heroes at the Supreme Will realm here. It shocked everyone. Then, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom army quickly cleaned up all the historical heroes in this area without a leader. Continue. Next area, the Graveyard of Deities. Bai Yun ordered. This Graveyard of Deities was a relatively large area in the Eternal Continent. There were also many historical heroes inside. Just the Supreme Will realm historical heroes numbered 12. If it was in the past, it would be a tough nut to crack for Zhou Fight and the others. However, it was naturally nothing to the current Zhou Fight. He could just clean it up along the way. At the same time, the 3 historical heroes who were cultivating in the core area of the Eternal Continent also opened their eyes when Zhou Fight attacked. This common people's regal really can't help but attack. The historical hero on the left said with a faint smile. He came from a people of foreign race called the Hu Rock tribe. He had experienced many hardships in the ultimate void cosmos before becoming a low-level willpower, transcendent-level expert. Unfortunately, he was surrounded and killed when he fought with a group of will transcendence experts for an incomplete, eternal, immortal realm inheritance after all. Later on, he was lucky to encounter the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord and was forcefully pulled out of the Eternal Continent with a special transcendence technique. He regained his consciousness and became a special existence, a historical hero. Even though he would have to listen to the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord from now on, it was already a huge blessing to be able to return from death. Therefore, he didn't care about such matters and obediently became a fighter under the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord. Ever since he received the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord's order to become one of the test contents of the common people's regal, he had become extremely curious about this common people's regal whose strength was only at the Supreme Will realm. With a Supreme Will realm body, he had the combat strength of a will transcendent level. Such a genius was extremely rare even in the ultimate void great cosmos. Unfortunately, when the common people's regal fought in the Eternal Continent, other than attacking once when he didn't understand the rules at the beginning, he never attacked at any other time. Due to the test rules set by the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord, he could only obediently guard his area with the other 2 transcendent-level experts, waiting for the common people's regal to attack. They had thought that they would have to wait for a long time. They felt that with the strength of the common people's regal, it was still very difficult to resist the attacks of the 3 genuine strong wills after all. The other party would probably take a long time to accumulate strength. Only when they had accumulated enough strength would they dare to expose their strength and fight them to their heart's content. They did not expect that it had only been a few days. They had been waiting for the common people's regal to take action. How was this a simple attack? This was clearly a challenge to them. Come on. Another dark, obsidian-like will of the people of foreign races spoke in a dull voice.